These are the lies and controversies that cost the US Army $11 million and turned Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson from wrestling's beloved people's champion into Hollywood's most questionable figure. From broken promises to the military to chronic tardiness costing studios millions, the man once known for his infectious charisma has built a reputation on deception that spans from WWE boardrooms to A24 film sets. The Rock's story starts where all great wrestling tales begin, with reinvention and the weight of Samoan wrestling dynasty expectations. Born Dwayne Douglas Johnson on May 2nd, 1972, he entered this world already carrying the legacy of wrestling royalty. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a respected professional wrestler, and his maternal grandfather, Peter Maivia, was a cornerstone of the legendary Anwood family wrestling dynasty that would later produce Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline. But bloodlines don't guarantee success, and young Dwayne learned this lesson the hard way. At the University of Miami, Johnson played on the 1991 National Championship football team, but spent most of his time warming the bench. His NFL dreams crumbled when he went undrafted in 1995. A brief stint with the Calgary Stampeders ended with him getting cut from the team. At his lowest point, Johnson had just $7 to his name, a detail he'd later used to name his production company, $7 Productions, which he co-founded with his ex-wife and manager Dani Garcia. It's here that our story takes its first interesting turn. Johnson has repeatedly told this $7 story as a tale of humble beginnings and determination, but here's what he doesn't mention. He admitted to MTV News in March 2009 that during his college years, he had experimented with steroids. "I tried it. Me and my buddies tried it back in the day when I was 18 or 19. Didn't know what we were doing," he confessed. This admission would become crucial later when questions about his physique intensified. Johnson's wrestling career began in November 1996 when he debuted as Rocky Maivia at Survivor Series. The character was designed as a clean-cut, all-American hero, the third-generation wrestler carrying on his family legacy within the broader Samoan wrestling dynasty. Fans hated it. The "Die Rocky Die" chants became so intense that WWE had no choice but to pivot. In one of wrestling's greatest character transformations, Rocky Maivia became The Rock, the arrogant, trash-talking people's champion. The Rock's rise during WWE's Attitude Era was meteoric. He became a 10-time world champion, mastered the art of the promo, and developed an undeniable charisma that transcended wrestling. His catchphrases became part of pop culture. His matches with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, John Cena, and Mick Foley are considered classics. By 2001, when he made his film debut with a brief appearance in The Mummy Returns, The Rock seemed unstoppable. But success has a way of revealing character, and this is where the cracks in Johnson's public persona began to show. His transition to Hollywood accelerated rapidly. The Scorpion King in 2002 made him the highest-paid debut leading man in film history at that time. By 2004, he was leaving WWE full-time to pursue acting. The wrestling world mourned the loss of one of its greatest performers, but they understood. The Rock was chasing bigger dreams. What they didn't understand was how dramatically fame would change him. First major red flag came in August 2016 during production of The Fate of the Furious. Johnson posted an Instagram message that seemed innocuous on the surface, but contained a venomous subtext. "My female co-stars are always amazing and I love them," he wrote. "My male co-stars, however, are a different story. Some conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. The ones that don't are too chicken shit to do anything about it anyway. Candy asses." The candy ass reference was a direct shot at his fast and furious co-star Vin Diesel, using Rock's old wrestling catchphrase as a weapon. This wasn't backstage gossip. This was a public humiliation broadcast to Johnson's hundreds of millions of followers. The feud that followed would drag on for years, with both men taking shots at each other through the media. Vin Diesel would later claim he used tough love to get a better performance out of Johnson, suggesting the entire feud was manufactured. But Johnson's response revealed something troubling about his character. "One part of me feels like there's no way I would dignify any of that bullshit with an answer," he told Vanity Fair. "But here's the truth. I go into every project giving it my all. And if I feel that there's some things that need to be squared away and handled and taken care of, then I do it." Notice the language. Squared away and handled. This isn't the vocabulary of collaboration. It's the language of dominance, of someone who believes his success gives him the right to dictate terms to everyone around him. The pattern was establishing itself, but it would take years for the full scope of Johnson's transformation to become clear. In 2020, Johnson purchased the XFL Football League for $15 million alongside several partners. The move was positioned as a savvy business decision and a way to give back to football, but this purchase would soon become the foundation for one of Johnson's most egregious deceptions. The US Army, always looking for new recruitment strategies, saw an opportunity to partner with both Johnson and his newly acquired football league. What seemed like a win-win partnership turned into a disaster. The Army gets access to Johnson's massive social media following, and the UFL gets military sponsorship. The Army agreed to pay $11 million for what they believed was a comprehensive marketing partnership with The Rock himself. The contract specified that Johnson would create 5 social media posts, each valued at $1 million, promoting Army recruitment alongside UFL content. Johnson delivered exactly 2 posts. Let that sink in. The US Army paid $11 million and received less than half of what they contracted for. But the betrayal runs deeper than simple mathematics. According to internal Army documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests, the deal was so catastrophic, it led to a projected loss of 38 enlistments. Think about that for a moment. The Army didn't just waste 11 million taxpayer dollars. Johnson's failure to fulfill his contractual obligations actually hurt military recruitment. In an era when the military struggles to meet recruitment goals, Johnson's broken promises had real consequences for national security. Colonel Dave Butler, an Army spokesperson, couldn't hide his frustration when speaking to Militarycom in terms of The Rock. It's unfortunate he was pulled away at a time when we expected him to be present with us to create content for his social media channels. Pulled away is military speak for what the rest of us would call lying and abandoning your commitments. Marketing expert Sweeney put it more bluntly. While the Army may have thought they were getting The Rock, they were instead primarily getting a partnership with a minor football league. The Rock is an investor of the UFL, but it's not like he's on the sidelines of every game. As a result, the Army seems to have paid Hollywood-level sponsorship money for minor league exposure. One senior Army marketing official compared the debacle to the National Guard's $88 million NASCAR sponsorship that reportedly didn't lead to a single new soldier joining the ranks. But at least NASCAR delivered what they promised. Johnson simply took the money and ran. When pressed about the failure, Army marketing spokesperson Laura DeFrancisco was diplomatic but telling. She denied any dispute between the Army and UFL while confirming that the Army had no plans for future marketing deals with the league. Translation: they learned their lesson about trusting Dwayne Johnson. The resolution came in January 2025, with the Army quietly writing off the loss rather than pursuing legal action against one of Hollywood's most powerful figures. Justice, it seems, has a price tag of $11 million. But Johnson's pattern of professional deception extends far beyond broken military contracts. By 2022, Johnson had positioned himself as a major player in the DC Extended Universe with his starring role in Black Adam. The film was supposed to launch a new era of DC content, with Johnson's character at the center. Johnson himself promoted this narrative relentlessly, promising fans that the hierarchy of power in the DC universe was about to change. Black Adam grossed $393 million worldwide against a $260 million budget, a catastrophic failure by any Hollywood metric. But rather than accept responsibility for the film's poor performance, Johnson began a campaign to position himself as the victim of studio politics and poor marketing. Behind the scenes, Johnson had been pushing for Black Adam to appear in every upcoming DC project, essentially demanding that the studio build their entire cinematic universe around his character, despite the film's failure. When new DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran made it clear that Black Adam wouldn't be part of their plans, Johnson's team leaked stories about studio interference and creative differences. The truth is simpler and more damaging to Johnson's reputation. He believed his star power could overcome a poorly written film, and when audiences rejected Black Adam, he refused to accept that his judgment might be flawed. This pattern of blame shifting has become Johnson's signature response to failure. When The Smashing Machine, his 2025 collaboration with A24 and director Benny Safdie, grossed only $21 million against a $50 million production budget, Johnson's team immediately began spinning the narrative. Despite receiving positive reviews and a 15-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival, the biographical drama about MMA fighter Mark Kaye was a commercial disaster. Rather than acknowledging that audiences might not be interested in seeing The Rock in a serious dramatic role, Johnson's representatives suggested that A24's limited marketing budget was to blame. Never mind that A24 has successfully promoted numerous smaller films to profitability. The fault couldn't possibly lie with Johnson's star power finally hitting its limits. The steroid controversy represents perhaps Johnson's most persistent deception. After admitting to teenage steroid use in 2009, Johnson has consistently maintained that his current physique is the result of diet, training, and genetics alone. This claim has become increasingly difficult to believe as Johnson, now in his 50s, appears more muscular than ever. Joe Rogan, never one to mince words, called out Johnson's claims directly on his podcast. The Rock should come clean right now, Rogan declared. I need to talk to you because The Rock's been lying. There's not a chance in hell he's clean, not a chance in hell. As big as The Rock is at 50. Rogan's accusation highlights a fundamental dishonesty in Johnson's public persona. While he's built a brand around hard work and dedication, his refusal to address obvious questions about performance-enhancing drugs suggests a pattern of deception that extends beyond his professional life. The transformation is particularly striking when you compare Johnson's physique in his early wrestling career to his current appearance. While he was always athletic, it wasn't until around 2013's Pain and Gain, filmed when Johnson was in his early 40s, that he began displaying the extreme musculature that defines his current image. Johnson's response to steroid allegations has been to simply ignore them, hoping that his loyal fan base will accept his silence as innocence. But in an era where athletes and actors are increasingly transparent about their enhancement protocols, Johnson's evasiveness feels outdated and dishonest. The on-set behavior controversies paint a picture of a man whose success has insulated him from consequences. During the production of Red 1, Johnson's alleged chronic lateness became so problematic that it ballooned the film's budget to over $250 million. Reports suggested Johnson was regularly 7 to 8 hours late to set, sometimes missing entire days of production. When these allegations surfaced, Johnson's response was characteristically evasive. "Yeah, that happens," he told GQ magazine. "But not that amount, by the way. That was a bananas amount. That's crazy. Ridiculous." Notice how Johnson admits to the behavior while downplaying its severity. He doesn't deny being late. He just suggests the reports exaggerated the extent of his tardiness. This is classic Johnson, a non-denial denial that allows him to maintain plausible deniability while avoiding real accountability. Red 1 director Jake Kasdan and co-star Chris Evans rushed to Johnson's defense, but their statements were telling. Kasdan insisted Johnson never missed a day of work ever, while acknowledging he can be late sometimes. Evans claimed Johnson comes in slightly later on certain mornings, but it's part of the plan. These defenses actually confirm the core allegation while trying to normalize it. The fact that Johnson's tardiness has to be worked into the schedules suggests it's not an occasional occurrence, but a regular pattern that entire productions must accommodate. The production team's accommodation of Johnson's behavior speaks to his power in Hollywood, but it also reveals something disturbing about how success can corrupt. When you're powerful enough to force entire film crews to work around your schedule, the temptation to abuse that power becomes overwhelming. There's also the bizarre water bottle incident that emerged during the Red 1 controversy. When asked about allegations that he urinates in water bottles on set, Johnson casually confirmed it. "I pee in a bottle. Yeah, that happens," he told GQ. This admission, delivered with Johnson's characteristic casual charm, is actually deeply disrespectful to the cast and crew who have to work in that environment. The fact that Johnson sees nothing wrong with this behavior suggests a level of entitlement that borders on sociopathy. The WrestleMania 40 controversy revealed how Johnson's corporate power has corrupted his relationship with wrestling, the industry that made him famous. In January 2024, Johnson joined the board of directors of TKO Group Holdings, WWE's parent company, during a period of transition following Vince McMahon's resignation amid scandal. Working alongside longtime friend and WWE President Nick Khan, Johnson obtained full ownership of the Rock trademark, which had previously been owned by WWE. Almost immediately, reports surfaced that Johnson was pushing to face Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40, displacing Cody Rhodes, who had been building toward that moment for years. The fan backlash was swift and brutal. "We want Cody," chants dominated WWE programming. Social media exploded with anger directed at Johnson for using his corporate position to insert himself into a storyline that fans had been invested in for months. Cody Rhodes himself was diplomatic but firm in his displeasure. "I worked my whole life for this," Rhodes said. "Rock should know I wouldn't be cool with it. Maybe that's an understanding that him and I have. He found out I'm not cool with it." The controversy forced WWE to pivot their WrestleMania plans, with Johnson ultimately stepping aside to allow Rhodes his moment. But the damage to Johnson's reputation among wrestling fans was severe. For the first time in his career, The Rock was booed by wrestling audiences who had once worshipped him. Johnson's response was to lean into the villain role, dubbing Rhodes' supporters Cody Crybabies and playing up his corporate power. But this wasn't the charismatic heel work that made him famous. This was a man using real corporate influence to advance his personal agenda at the expense of both fans and fellow performers. The incident revealed how completely Johnson's priorities had shifted. The man who once electrified crowds with his passion for wrestling was now willing to manipulate the business for his own benefit, even if it meant disappointing millions of fans. Perhaps most tellingly, Johnson's last WWE appearance was at Elimination Chamber 2025, where he was part of a storyline involving John Cena's heel turn. Reports suggest he had a fallout with Triple H over creative decisions and has no scheduled return to WWE programming. The pattern is clear. When Johnson doesn't get his way, he takes his ball and goes home. The Maui wildfire charity controversy of August 2023 provided another window into Johnson's character. When deadly wildfires devastated Maui, Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched a fund to support displaced residents. The problem wasn't the charitable intent, it was the execution. Johnson and Winfrey, with a combined net worth exceeding $1 billion, asked their followers to donate to the fund, rather than making substantial personal contributions themselves. The optics were catastrophic. Two of the wealthiest celebrities in the world asking working-class fans to fund disaster relief struck many as tone-deaf at best, exploitative at worst. The backlash was immediate and intense. Social media erupted with criticism of Johnson's approach to charity, with many pointing out that he could single-handedly fund the relief efforts without making a dent in his fortune. Johnson's response was characteristic, a poolside video acknowledging the criticism while maintaining his innocence. "I could have been better, and next Next time I will be better, he said, delivering what appeared to be an apology while actually admitting no wrongdoing. The incident revealed a troubling pattern in Johnson's approach to public relations. When caught in inappropriate behavior, he offers carefully crafted non-apologies that sound contrite while avoiding real accountability. Throughout all these controversies, Johnson has maintained his public image through a combination of charm, strategic generosity, and media manipulation. The crew raffle stories from Red One exemplify this approach. Chris Evans recalled how Johnson would dramatically increase prize pools at crew raffles, sometimes giving away close to $100,000 in a single day. These gestures are undoubtedly appreciated by crew members, but they also serve a strategic purpose. By occasionally displaying extreme generosity, Johnson creates a narrative of himself as a benevolent figure who cares about working people. This narrative then gets deployed to defend him when his behavior comes under scrutiny. The defense becomes, how can you criticize someone who gives away hundreds of thousands of dollars to crew members? But this misses the point entirely. Sporadic acts of generosity don't excuse chronic unprofessionalism or contractual breaches. Johnson's media strategy has evolved to anticipate criticism and preemptively counter it. When steroid allegations surface, his team highlights his workout videos and diet posts. When tardiness reports emerge, stories about his generosity to crew members mysteriously appear in entertainment media. When military contract failures are exposed, his representatives emphasize his support for veterans and military families. This isn't accidental. It's a sophisticated public relations operation designed to maintain Johnson's brand regardless of his actual behavior. The most damning aspect of Johnson's transformation isn't any single controversy, it's the pattern they reveal. From broken military contracts to on-set unprofessionalism to corporate manipulation of wrestling storylines, Johnson has consistently demonstrated that his personal interests take precedence over his professional obligations. The man who built his career on the wrestling principle of never break kayfabe, maintaining the illusion that professional wrestling is real, has broken the much more important principle of keeping your word in real life. Johnson's success has reached levels that previous generations of entertainers could never have imagined. His films have grossed over $11.4 billion worldwide. He has 396 million Instagram followers. He owns sports teams and production companies. He sits on corporate boards. His estimated net worth of $800 million places him among the wealthiest entertainers in history. But with great power comes great responsibility, and Johnson has consistently failed to live up to that responsibility. The saddest part of this story isn't Johnson's individual transformation. It's what his success represents about our culture's willingness to overlook deception in exchange for entertainment. Johnson continues to be one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, despite a track record that would end most careers. His upcoming projects continue to generate massive interest. The Smashing Machine, despite its poor box office performance, earned critical acclaim and positioned Johnson as a serious dramatic actor. His reconciliation with Vin Diesel has paved the way for future Fast and Furious films. His WWE board position ensures his continued influence over professional wrestling. Johnson has learned that in the modern entertainment industry, consequences are optional for those powerful enough to avoid them. The transformation of The Rock from beloved wrestling superstar to Hollywood's most questionable figure represents more than just one man's moral decline. It's a cautionary tale about how unchecked success can corrupt even the most charismatic personalities. The Rock we fell in love with in the late 1990s was authentic in his artificiality. He played a character, but he played it with genuine passion and respect for his audience. The Dwayne Johnson of 2025 is authentic only in his inauthenticity, a carefully constructed brand designed to maximize profit while minimizing accountability. Wrestling fans understood that The Rock's arrogance was an act. What they couldn't have predicted was that the act would eventually consume the man underneath it. The people's champion has become the people's deceiver, and the most tragic part is that he doesn't seem to care. As long as the money keeps flowing and the cameras keep rolling, Johnson appears content to trade his integrity for his influence. The $7 story that Johnson loves to tell ends with him becoming one of the most successful entertainers in history. But success measured purely in financial terms misses the most important question: at what cost? Dwayne Johnson got everything he wanted. The question he'll have to live with is whether what he wanted was worth what he became. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories like this.